Did you know that E is the most written vowel in French, but the least pronounced when the French speak? C'est vrai. In this lesson, I am going to talk about the letter E in French words, when to pronounce it and when to drop it. Mastering silent E will improve your French listening skills, and it can also make you sound more like a native speaker when you speak French. Let's dive in. First of all, E as the last letter of a French word is silent. Porte. Students sometimes tell me that they think they hear the E pronounced at the end of French words. But here's the thing. In French, there is only one vowel sound per syllable. It may be accompanied by a semi-vowel in the same syllable, but there are never two vowel sounds in the same syllable. So, if I pronounce the last E, I would have to add a syllable. Porteux. Okay, let's get back to the lesson. E as the last letter of a word is silent in French. Armoire, tasse, imprimante. What about silent E's within French words? When the French speak naturally, they tend to drop certain E's, which once again shows the difference between written French and spoken French. Également, facilement, bienvenue. Here's what you need to know. The letter E can only be dropped when it is pronounced E, the schwa as it's called in English. For example, these E's can't be dropped. Hiver, dessin, baguette. If you want to better understand when E is pronounced E, you can check out this video next. So, when E is pronounced E, it can be pronounced or dropped. The letter E is pronounced when preceded by at least two pronounced consonants and followed by at least one. This means that dropping it would result in three consonants together. That's why we call it the three-consonant rule. The three-consonant rule means that E is pronounced. Mercredi. Three consonants, E is pronounced. Samedi. Two consonants, E is dropped. Justement. Lentement. Here, the consonant N doesn't count because it is part of a nasal vowel and it isn't pronounced like a consonant. Let's look at other examples of the three-consonant rule. Calmement, comportement, portefeuille, appartement, probablement, exactement. And the three-consonant rule also applies to sentences. Votre, as you just learned, E as the last letter of a word is silent in French. But if I were to use the word in this sentence, the three-consonant rule applies. À votre santé. On passe à table? In this example, table, table, is at the end of the sentence, not followed by another consonant, and E is the last letter of the word, so it's silent. In this example, the three-consonant rule applies. J'ai une table ronde. The three-consonant rule also applies to the liaison. Contrairement aux autres années. Année begins with a vowel, but in this sentence it begins with a the sound that is added because of the liaison between autres and année. So, the three-consonant rule applies. If you don't know what a liaison is and what the rules are, you can check out this video next. Let's look at other examples of the three-consonant rule in sentences. Il vous fallait autre chose? Quelque chose ne va pas. The vowel U doesn't count as it's silent. There are two pronounced consonants before E, so E is pronounced. Elle rentre seule. Il est presque toujours en retard. La pauvre plante a besoin d'eau. Le plaisir a été de courte durée. Now, you are probably wondering if there's a limit to the number of E's you can drop in a sentence. Not really. Il est presque toujours en retard. La pauvre plante a besoin d'eau. Le plaisir a été de courte durée. The letter E must be pronounced if the three-consonant rule applies. All other E's that are usually pronounced E can be dropped. The faster people speak, the more E's they drop. You also need to understand that there isn't just one way to speak fast in French. It depends on the speakers. For example, their speaking habits. Je le sens mal. Je le sens mal. Je me sens visé. Je me sens visé. Je me caille. Je me caille. Let's look at other examples of dropping the letter E in sentences. Je bois de l'eau. S doesn't count as it's a silent consonant. Je me brosse les cheveux. CH count as one consonant as it is only one sound. Je dois le faire. The French speak fast in everyday conversation, I mean in an informal context. In a formal context, you pronounce more E's because you speak more slowly, articulate better, and pay more attention to your pronunciation. Je bois de l'eau. Je me brosse les cheveux. Je dois le faire. E is pronounced before an aspirated H. In French, there are two H, the mute H and the aspirated H. Both H are silent. There is no rule for knowing when H is mute and when it is aspirated. To find out whether the initial H of a word is aspirated, you can consult Wikipedia or the Larousse Bilingual Dictionary. This apostrophe indicates an aspirated H. Both links can be found in the description. C'est une honte. J'ai besoin de 8 000 €. Ils se haïssent. And last, but not least, rules are not always applied. Il est large d'épaules. Parce que j'ai envie. C'est une honte. Also, these rules are not always applied in songs, poetry, or even regional accents. In the south of France, they tend to pronounce more E's. But as a non-native speaker, it's best to drop less E's and make sure people understand you. As a beginner, you should always strive to make yourself understood rather than speak like a native. So, for clarity, speak more slowly, pay more attention to your pronunciation, and drop less E's because you want to be sure of being understood. And make sure to watch this video to get one step closer to mastering fast spoken French. À la semaine prochaine!